Oh my word. Welcome to February 26th edition of Living Courageously Exposed with your host, Jennifer Saunders. And
Leah spelled Ligia.
whoop, whoop. Hey, for those of you who are new to our podcast, we just want to say thank you for sharing your time and your heart space with us. This is a broadcast. It's a chat fest where just we meet new people. We talk about the things that are on our hearts or that we've come across during the week that go against the grain, that open the doors for other people to be real. It's a place where you and I, get to show up authentically. We get to listen to people who live courageously and unapologetically, and then take what they say and put it back into our own lives. So, um, it's I love the format because it's real, it's raw, it's live, it's unscripted, and we allow inspiration to be the guide. So, oh my gosh, we always start with a little bit of breathing. One, because it calms me down. Okay, let's just be real. It calms me down. It's a way it's a way for me to just settle into the inspiration, to get into the zone, to lean in a little bit, where everybody has a zone of being inspired, of being with the person who's in conversation with you. And so,
Oh, wait, what? Getting into beingness?
oh, getting into your beingness. Yes, yes, what she said. So, today, Leah just did it, hand on heart. We are not doing the Pledge of Allegiance. We're doing the Pledge to You, which is an opportunity for you to just take a downward gaze or oh my gosh, downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever feels best for you. And today we're just going to breathe. I'm going to encourage you to breathe in through your nose or mouth, whichever is most comfortable. But I encourage you to feel it deep, feel your chest, feel your rib cage, feel your belly all the way down into your hips. If you want to, hold that breath at the end and then release it fully and hold that. Also called box breathing if you do it that way. Or maybe you just need a minute to just sit with yourself and just breathe. So, anyway, just do some kind of breathing intentionally. So, I'm going to take closed eyes. We're going to do it with you. We're going to go let's just do 30 to 60 seconds. Wow. Before we start the breathing, I was complaining about the brightness level on my computer and that I need more lights, and which, I mean, who doesn't need more lights, right? And Leah just reminded me that it's probably out the setting on my screen, and that the brightness that I'm seeing on her phone is like, so thank you for that. Uh, there's always perspective, friends. It's always perspective. And things as you see them may not be as they're actually seen. So, downward gaze or closed eyes. Just breathe in a way that feels good for you right now. If you would like to, you can breathe in the good things that have happened in your day. Let them soak in and nourish you. You can breathe out any of the shiz that's rolling around and hanging on in there. Let it go. Creating more space and room for all of that yummy goodness just waiting to fill you. All right, finish up with one more good big breath. Again, feel it go into your chest, into your rib cage, down into your belly, all the way down into your sit bones, as our friend Brandy reminded us. And then let that one go. Oh my gosh. We're so happy to be with you today. This is always a fun thing. And sometimes it also can be just because it is unscripted. And when it's just me, I'm human and
What?
I'm good at this stuff. But I also am like, oh, what am I going to talk about? What's going to come out of my face? And forgetting that when you breathe and you get into the flow, the space that's right in front of you, that things just naturally come in. And we've had some traveling. I was traveling last week, and we were going to do it later, and then it was like, nope, not happening. I've been driving all day. I'm just going to rest and take care of myself. But I love Wednesdays, and I love it when we get to just talk about what's been going on in the week, or things that we've noticed, or conversations that we've had with other people that like spark a what's the word I'm looking for? They just create a spark of what could be talked about that me personally, I feel is important.
Sure. It's stuff that we don't really get to talk about in our everyday lives, but it's rumbling around in our brains, and it's a good space to share it.
I love it. It's also part of things that, one of the things that I love to do is make being human like just the thing to do, like natural, normal. We're so judgy, and we're so hard on ourselves, and we're so unkind, and we're so afraid to make mistakes, and we're so afraid to maybe have people in our world who we like or we love, but because of how they choose to live their life, or their circumstances, or their, is that too hot now?
It's okay. Go ahead.
We have a heater on. We hold back for whatever the reason, and or we hold ourselves back, or we quiet ourselves. It's a painful place to be, and I know I'm not the only one that feels it. So it's just, I love being able to talk about these things that occur in my world, and keep the door open for you to talk about them as well, and to just live a happier, healthier, more productive life, because you get to just be human and have an experience.
So that was a really great introduction into what is on your heart to talk about today. What is that?
That was Leah's way of saying you took way too long.
It's not about too long, not too long.
So
what is this about for you
today? So if you haven't gone and read the Monday Mojo posts, you can go over to the Righteous Rebels Facebook group, and there's a post in there from Monday the 24th, Monday Mojo post, where I talk about how a question that I was asked many years ago has found its way back into my presence. And hey, Christine, thank you for being with us today. Oh, we see Kathy early. Hey, Kathy. It's good to see you. Well, it's good to be seen by you. How about that? And to know that you're still around. So it's this, I've been talking with Leah about this feeling that I've had in regards to feeling like I'm being held down. I say having my head held underwater, or like someone's kneeling on my throat. Like I just haven't felt like I've had the voice that I know that I have and that I'm meant to have. And I've been really unsure what it is. And I thought, maybe it's just like fear from the past, or things that have come up, and
maybe you're misperceiving.
Maybe things. Misperceiving, and looking at like, okay, am I just playing a victim role in this, and really trying to take accountability and responsibility for my part and my actions in these circumstances. Well, lo and behold, it came back around in actually a really beautiful way. And I thought, I think this is worth talking about. So I wrote about it on Monday. And thank you to those who read the post. For those of you who commented, I haven't gone in and answered any of those. I'm just going to say thank you right here for all of the beautiful responses that you shared, and for where you shared your own heart, and where you expressed your love for me and the things that I share, and for my life. And so just huge thank yous there. But the question, I'm like, is it
one of those places that, like, when I hear you talk about this, it reminds me of there's certain lessons that we're here to learn, and they're going to keep presenting themselves until we learn the lesson. And I find it fascinating that came up several years ago, 7 years with...
Yeah, or more with Janet.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before. Like, you can go listen to our podcast with Janet Thurgood. And so let's just to recap for those of you who are new. A few years ago, Janet Thurgood, beautiful, beautiful soul, lived over in the Boise area. And I don't remember how she found me, but she reached out and she's like, "Hey, I've heard such really cool things about you, and I would love for you to be on my show." And I don't think she called it a podcast at that time, her show. And I was like, I would love to. And we had a little conversation back and forth. And then a day or so later, a little bit later, she found out my sexuality. And she's like, I don't know that I can actually have you be on my show. I said, "Oh, really?" And she said, I have some influence here, and I have a group of people who have followed me for a long time, and I'm also in the predominant religion that's around here, and I just don't know that I can have someone on my show who follows your sexuality." I laughed and I said, "Well, the reality is, you think I'm cool, and you don't even know me, and you find out this little detail, and now I can't be on your show because why? Because people are going to fall away if they find out that I love a woman." Or it led to really, really beautiful back and forth through text message, through voice message, and one long-standing, beautiful friendship that continues to today. Um, and spaces for Janet to create life changes of her own, and hopefully other people as well. And so I've had other places where people are like, "We really like you. We want to support you, but we just can't, because if people find out that you love a woman, that we can't, it'll hurt our business, and we can't do that." And so
Didn't you have sponsors?
I have had sponsors for
paths?
the things that so mostly for the trail race that I put on in April. And PS, we're still looking for sponsors. We happy to have you come be a part of us. Um, Sponsors who pulled out because they're like, we can't, because it looks bad on us if we support you. So I spent a lot of time like feeling small and feeling hurt and feeling second class and feeling unworthy, and like I wasn't as valuable. If you go and listen to my TED talk, I talk about this, a story that I share where I actually felt myself like fall from the graces of God and become a second class citizen. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. That's what it felt like in those moments. And I have spent plenty of time in that space, regathering my confidence and my courage, and really looking deep into my soul, because discovering out these things for yourself. I keep looking at the wrong camera because we have a different camera on there today. I just realized that. It's gut wrenching and it's heart wrenching, and it causes you to soul search every freaking aspect of your soul. And it's challenging when people who you feel like are your friends or your cohorts or your equals in business, and they're like, we like you, but we just can't. Like, what do you say? What do you do? How do you hold your head up high? And I don't believe it's something that, how do I say that? I think it's a challenge to really understand until you're in that place yourself. And honestly, I hope you never have to be in that place yourself. So the story, I mean, I could tell you lots of stories in places that this has happened, places I've been dismissed from teaching or coaching because there was an assumption, or there was an accusation, or there was something that had to do with my sexuality, which is none of y'all's damn business. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, totally did.
I'm just going to let it be. I'm not in your bedroom. Like, it's out of mine. And stop equating that to everything that I do. And I'm not just talking for myself. I'm talking for all the people who've talked about this for years. I'm talking about for the people who don't know how to use their voice yet. I didn't know how to use my voice here for a really, really long time. And you know what? I've suffered for it. And so have the people who have not used their voices or don't know how. And I'm not just talking about sexuality. This happens to be the lens I am speaking through in regards to this topic because it has come up once again. So
I think it's fascinating because you think you get away from that. You think, maybe you find a way to be okay with it and reframe that story and just make it okay. And then to have it come up the way that it did this past week was just eye-opening and just like just also gives you a chance to really look at it for what it is, and that it comes from someone who doesn't live through your lens, but can appreciate what that experience might be.
And so there's two parts to this, the questions that came up. And so I had somebody reach out last week and ask if I would present at their women's retreat. Always a pleasure. It's what I do. You can hire me too, just FYI. Reach out. I'm happy to. And I was driving, so I couldn't, have full-on conversation there. And so put it off. We call back. We have this beautiful conversation about what this event is about, who it's for, women, empowering women. There's going to be 3 presenters, women's health. Now I can't think of the other topic. Maybe it's right here. Oh, building connections, intimacy, like real intimacy. And then me, boom. And we're having this beautiful conversation. I'm getting a feel of the event that she's putting on, and I'm excited. I'm super excited to go and be a part of this. And I feel myself coming alive again and coming out of the shell that I've been in. And she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Sure. You guys, I'll answer questions. I think most people will. If someone asked you an honest question, would you answer it? Like, would you be excited to answer it? What are questions that you wish people would ask you that they don't, that they may be afraid to? Think about that. That's going to come up later." And she said, what's it like to, like, she didn't grow up here. She's new here as of last summer.
Here being
Idaho Falls, thank you. And she just came from the Seattle area.
Sorry, that makes me ask a question of like, how did she find out about your sexuality?
I'm sure I said something. I don't try to hide it.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm sure I said something.
That just kind of dawned on me. We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure how that even came up.
Yeah, it's not something I'm not going to hide myself anymore. And I don't know if she already knew before she reached out to me, or if I know it came up.
Okay, fair.
So anyway, she said, "What is it like to be you inside of this community?" And honestly, I almost cried, because you know how many people ask me that question? None. Nobody asks that question. And my opinion as to why they don't ask is because they're afraid to feel. They're afraid to feel. They're afraid to have to look at, and I'm talking to myself too, because there's plenty of times I haven't asked questions because I don't really want to know the answer. I don't want to feel through the answer. I'm not in a space to sit with that person in those moments of whatever they need me to sit with. It requires being in your heart and inside yourself to ask questions and actually want to know the answers, my opinion. It causes you to feel when you ask those kinds of questions. You have to listen and know that you're going to get an answer that you might feel uncomfortable with or that you may not understand. But for me, I was like, wow, she just asked the question. And I had a quick moment of pause of like, do I, like, how honest do I be with this? Because I prefer honesty. And I just said, it's tough. It's really challenging to grow up in this community, or to be inside this community. I grew up in this community. I spent time in Rexburg. I spent a little bit of time in Logan and Pocatello. Half my growing up was in Otter Falls, half was in Pocatello. So this is my home. This is my hometown. These are my people. And I know you're like, what was that thought? And it was, or so I thought. Um, I answered honestly, and I said it's challenging. I grew up in the religion here. I know what it is. I was on the side of judging people who are like me. I said the things. I felt the things. I'm sure it hurt people through my words and my actions. So I get it. I can have understanding. I just about let off a string of swear words. There comes a time when you have to question, and you should be questioning every day about how are you really treating people? How did Jesus really treat people? How did Jesus really live his life? This community's tough. Now, I can say to you, I have good people surrounding me. I have very, very good people surrounding me. People who I've known for years, people who have stepped back for various reasons because life changes and shifts and ebbs and flows. And some people have just taken a natural background presence. And new people have come forward who are very kind and very understanding and very loving. It's how I live my life. It's who my soul wants to attract. It's still a challenge because there's an underlying feeling of the next question. And we've already talked about it that I'm about to present. And she said, can I ask you another question? I feel like I'm slaughtering this because
No,
I don't want to like,
good.
It's long. Like I want to talk forever on this. And yet I don't want to talk at all. She said, okay, can I ask you another question? And her energy shifted and there was kind of a hemming and hawing. I know she was trying to be polite in asking it. I didn't feel malice in her asking the question. And honestly, and to be fair to her, I don't know exactly why the question was asked. If it was for the health of her event, if people find out my sexuality, or if it was how I was going to respond if and when people find out that I'm one of the amazing presenters of this event. I know those of you are like, why is she talking about her? Talk about yourselves that way too. I'm amazing. I do amazing things. I'm really talented. I'm really gifted. I'm also really special. And so I want to talk about myself that way because I haven't done it for a really long time. And you know what? I deserve to, and so do you. And if my job is to help kick the door open for you, then I've got to do it myself. So there you go. Let's pause and just say, I am special. I am talented. I am loved. I am magical. I have worth beyond any kind of thought or measure that I could even think of. I am loved. I'm freaking amazing. And I deserve to say these things about myself. Okay. So then she asked the next question. I know I'm being a smart aleck, but legit, I feel that way. And I feel that way in regards to you. Talking about this stuff makes me feel a little snarky.
And that's okay. You're allowed to feel snarky. You've been moving through pretending to be okay. Not even pretending. You were okay as far as you had awareness of what you were moving through. And now you have a different kind of awareness. So it's going to bring up feels. And that's totally okay. So you're allowed to be snarky. I think your snarkiness brings out confidence in you that may have been a little suppressed. And I think it's beautiful. And it doesn't mean that you're being mean or talking, other things down. You're just sharing how this experience has really affected you, because it has in a lot of ways.
Thank you. I just want to say thanks to Leah for sitting with me today and holding my hand, because she knows this is still a little scary for me. And those parts of me that don't want to piss people off or offend people or um, hurt people uh, still want to just play the old part and the old story and the old roles that they've played in me, but I can't do that anymore. I can't do that anymore. I can't do it for me and I can't do it for you. And so just thank you for, she doesn't feel super great today and she's sitting here with me, and I just thank you, and just the support that you continually give to me in that direction and encourage me to use my voice that way.
Well, I'm always amazed by your story and just the different layers that you're actively moving through and have had to move through. And I think you're not the only one. Like, there are so many people that don't even have languaging for what they're going through, what they're feeling. And I think it's just so important to share that perspective, because you're taught to not, to make sure everyone else stays comfortable, to sit with that. But we don't realize how damaging that is to our sense of self-worth and how we see ourselves, because part of how we see ourselves is how we perceive how others see us. And we can say all we want, that we don't care, but the reality is we want to be a part of something, and we want to have that sense of belonging. So it does affect us.
Yeah, thank you.
So I appreciate you sharing
Thank
and
you.
your willingness to step into that.
And again, this is just a lens that I'm getting to speak through that keeps presenting itself. There's a lot of lenses, on the Monday post, the Monday Mojo post. Uh, my cute friend Adele talked about how she has felt some of that being a woman, being the fact that English language is her third language, and so she doesn't always feel like she can is communicating in the way that she would want to, or that she's understood the way. She named off a few other things, and so there's a lot of ways that you can feel these things. This one's just really present, and it feels really pointed. And the reality is, it's really pointed, and you're really cheating yourself. I'm talking to myself too when we do this to people. When we let our belief systems get in, I'm like, when we do what to people? When we allow our belief systems to run our lives without actually checking in with our belief systems. Where does the belief come from? Is it even our belief? Was it planted there? When was it planted there? How long have we believed? Is it still true? Does it still feel good? And there's a lot of things that, if you're honest with yourself, just don't anymore. So,
but what do you do with that, though? Like, I think that's a really
that's
challenging way because everyone expects you to show up a certain way and play along and fulfill the role that you somewhere agreed to play, consciously or unconsciously.
That part's tricky.
It is.
That part's tricky because we want people to change, but we don't really want them to change, because then it causes us to change, it causes us to feel, it causes us to look at things differently. We have to have different perspective and bigger perspective. And whew, if you want to coach on that, I have some spaces. And there's a lot of people who can assist you in belief system shifting and mind shifting, and recognizing what stories you're running or you have been running or living by that don't work anymore. Old cassette tapes and geez.
So what was the question?
I was just gonna say the question is this. It was basically how like if people find out like your sexuality, like I'm really not even sure what the question was asked. I'm not sure again if it was for the health of her event or if it was for how I would react or respond. but it's an all too familiar question, and it's the one that I've been thinking, like, I know it's still playing. I feel it whether you say it or not. I feel it, and so do other people. Maybe you feel it too in the areas of your life. It's that quiet oppression. We're so damn afraid of what everyone else is going to think and do that we don't do what's right in our own hearts and do it with the people that feel right in our own hearts. And the question was basically, if people find out, like, what do you think is going to happen? Because there's going to be a lot of women there who are probably from the dominant religion of the area, and they're practicing at some level or another this religion. And really my biggest answer was, if they have an issue with my sexuality, they're probably not going to be drawn to your event, because the reality is they probably have an issue with their own.
Well, I'm like, it's women's empowerment, and it means all women, not just certain women who have certain beliefs that live a certain way.
I believe that is the intent of this beautiful soul who's putting on this event.
Yeah.
Like, I asked her questions about, why are you putting on this event? Why do you want to do this? Like, this stuff is challenging. Where are the people coming from? And she really does want to help all women feel good, and to feel good in their bodies and in their skin, and to have understanding of, maybe what's going on physically or biologically, and mentally and emotionally. Like, she really does have good intent for women. And I just think the concern is that around here, sexuality is such a big deal still, and place of judgment. And really my second answer to her was, if someone has an issue and they find out, and they can come and ask me questions just like you are, and they can find out for themselves and then make a decision, because I'm far more than my sexuality, just like you. Like, can you imagine if I came to you and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a heterosexual, and it's the only thing I saw of, like, what you do in your bedroom, and it's the only thing I saw about you? I know it's kind of hard for you to wrap your mind around, but that's what it feels like. That's the only piece that people want to see. They forget that I'm a mom, that I'm a daughter, that I'm a cousin, that I'm an aunt, I'm a grandma, I'm a maga, that I'm a friend, that I'm an athlete, I'm a creative, I run, I do all these things. But that's the only piece they want to see and judge my life on. So I guess if you have questions, ask your damn questions. Come get informed. And not just to me, to other people. Ask questions. They will answer. We all want to be seen and heard. And that comes back to what I was saying before. What are the questions you would love somebody to ask you about yourself, that you just want somebody to know about you, but that no one asks? And then imagine what it might be like if no one asked you about your life in general, ever. And you have a mission to change the world. Or the world meaning the world around you, or your world. Or maybe it's the world of your family. Maybe it's the world of your community. Maybe it really is the world. What do you want people to know about you? What have you been afraid to speak out about? Because you're afraid you're going to be judged. But it's something that's so spectacular about you, and it helps make all the other spectacular things about you even more spectacular.
Really? Oh my gosh. So sorry, go on.
I'm just going to say, this isn't a poor me. This isn't a poor me. I live a good life. Are there some things that I would like to see shift and and be different? Absolutely, there are. But I live a good life. I'm happy.
You're not struggling with this either.
I'm not struggling with this.
I think that's the one of the things that comes up when people respond, and when you're sharing about this, like that you're struggling, or it's a point of like a lot of contention for you, and it's not about that. It's more just sharing it, so it's people can have an understanding and look at their own behavior, notice it for other people, because it's not just you. It's, you know, other people have their loved ones or their own experience, and we're talking about sexuality, but it could be like your race, or that you have an accent, or it could be your age,
your last name, your
or old, or like it could be anything. But I just lost that thought.
Yeah, I appreciate that
it's not about it's struggling. It's about bringing light to it, so it can be addressed and looked at, and that we can move to building more awareness, so we can impact each other differently.
really what it comes down to. I really appreciate you saying that and reminding me that to say that I'm not struggling with this. I am so happy to be who I am. It's taken me a long time to get there. That's the real story. It's taken me a long time to get there, and to be able to speak in a way that feels more authentic and real, and like I'm not as guarded or protective of people or organizations who might have their feelings hurt because for whatever reason. I'm not going to continue hurting myself so you feel comfortable. I'm also not going to just be offensive. That's not what that means.
Or
putting it in your face. Think about the things that you do that you send to me that I'm not sending to you that might feel like they're in my face out of goodwill or loving hearts or just being thoughtful. This is me just sharing my heart, and I'm going to continue doing it. And you can either take the invitation to do it for yourself and know how amazing you are and that you don't have to struggle, or you can continue on the path that you're on, and either way is okay. Either way is okay. I'm happy to love who I love, and I'm happy to for the spotlight that she shines on my shiz.
That's legit.
Because it allows me to step up into more of who I am, more of who I am meant to be, and which allows me to do that better for you. So I'm not struggling. I'm happy. Again, are there things that I would love to be different? Yeah, but that means I get to show up different in order for some of that stuff to take place. And the same for you.
But it's not, I think the point is like, it's not a made up struggle. It's not just because it's not just you. That's someone who asks from the outside has that perception, that they see it, they recognize it, and they know it's a thing. I think was so invaluable to validate that this is bigger than what you've been feeling. Like it's systemic.
Yeah, I think that is the thing. I see, again, I appreciate that you can put words to some of the things that I have a tendency to just like normalize or make okay, because you have a different lens to see it through. But yeah, I did appreciate that someone outside of me, outside of my circle of influence or friends, was like, I've been here long enough to know, and I practiced the thing long enough to know that this could be challenging, and what is it like? And so thank you for that. And honestly, the acknowledgement of that was like, it took everything I had in that conversation to not do this, because it was so beautiful to feel seen and to be heard, and to not have to like prove my worth or my value. Like she was like, I see what you do. I feel you.
I think it's beautiful that you had the conversation that you had, beautiful rapport, and that you are going to be doing that retreat.
End of
And-
April.
Yeah.
We'll let you more details as we find that out and can share them.
Yeah. And I think it was a great place to just open up, honest conversation. It makes me want to go to places of like, what are some of those judgments or assumptions that people make? Because I think a lot of times we don't ask questions because it brings up a fear. We're afraid to ask the questions. We're not sure if we want to hear the answer.
Are you asking me what questions I've been asked, or?
I think I'm wanting to go to what are some of the preconceived notions of what it means to like as far as roles, or what it is to that you could pass it on, or like, I don't know if that this is a space to do that, or if you want to go that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, I think we can do that here. I mean, we're talking about questions and being curious from your heart, and asking the questions that have meaning.
I think that's important for me because that hasn't been my experience. I didn't grow up in a religion that I grew up pretend Catholic, so there was very little religion practice in my world. So I didn't grow up with some of those ideologies and judgments and exclusion policies. So and in my family, I was raised with the idea that love is love. That there are some people who have a hard time with that, but essentially love is love, and we accept everyone as they are, and
Honestly,
we welcome them.
That right there was such an eye opener for me, to be able to go to your family, and we're talking like big family. It was Canadian Thanksgiving a couple years ago, celebrated in Nicaraguan style, which is where the family is from. And I had apprehension and feelings, and like just the stuff that I grew up with and what people say, and all of that. I'm just gonna say the suppression of that, of a soul. And when I went there, I was like looking around, waiting for it to happen, waiting for people's questions or their to feel the
Side
judgment.
eyes.
That's right, their side eyes. And there was nothing. Nothing. And we've had interactions outside of the family where we've gone to places and I can talk more freely, or people just have made assumptions that we're together. Like they just know it or feel it. And I'm always a little shocked, and I'm waiting for the judgment, and there is none.
Yeah.
There is none. And I walked out of a building where we had probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 conversations. And I thought, wow, I've worked really hard to not be judgmental, especially with having rough edges rubbed off, and especially in this experience. And I thought, whoa, how much judgment I still feel. And that I want to put out sometimes. Like it was mind blowing. So I appreciate you saying that. Like
This is important for me to understand because I don't understand what you're talking about in the ways that you talk about, other than the conversations we've had and experiences that you've shared, or that we got to witness that or experience together when we were at Super Chicks that one time in the summer, where someone
cute
was
little teenage girl
overtly offended that we were sitting too close and maybe shared a kiss or something. Like she came up right to your face and like, being gay is wrong. And I was just, I'm always kind of shocked with that. And because I don't have that frame of reference, I see it so differently. And some of the impressions that I've had, for example, are like that if you hang around with someone who's gay, you're going to be gay.
that has been said to me,
or
that's also been taught.
Yeah, like it's like a leprosy thing, like you're going to pass it on, which, or that you're going to be hit on.
That also, I've had people say to me, well, I'm just afraid you're going to like me, or I don't know how to be around you because I'm not gay. And or that people assume that everybody I hang out with is.
That one's been surprising for me. And I think of like roles when you're in relationship. What are like, who's the boy, who's the girl?
That question has been asked many,
Right.
many times.
But I think really at the end of the day, it's still a relationship. You're still your own person. And just like whether you're in a heterosexual relationship or a same-sex relationship, those tendencies are still individual. Like you could be in a heterosexual relationship and be hitting on everyone and their brother or their sister, whatever.
And we know people who do.
Right. And just because you're in a heterosexual relationship doesn't automatically mean like you're super faithful, you're super, like, it doesn't make you
Better
above human tendencies. I just find it fascinating that it's not the same rule set for people who are in a same-sex relationship. Of the opposite is implied or assumed, which I find just so unfair.
Thank you. It's fun to have these conversations together because you don't have the background and the history that way, and the experience is different. So yeah, yes to the question of like, could I catch it? That's a question. That's a legit feeling out there. And are you going to hit on me? Do you like me? And I don't know, maybe I like it if you like me, and that scares me. And that's also been put out there. The piece of people's assumptions of what would I call it? What our sexual behaviors are outside of our homes are predatory. There's such a fear of predatory nature. I have been dismissed from 3 positions based off of accusations of behavior or actions, and I wasn't even practicing. Not practicing. I wasn't even in the mindset of owning my sexuality or being in a same-sex relationship. That wasn't even a thing at that point. I was married to a man
and had 2 daughters
and have 2 daughters, and people were making these assumptions about me for whatever the reason, true or not. I mean, it's obviously that stuff was there, the attraction to women, but I wasn't acting on it or living it, and yet those assumptions were made, and those are really, really, it happened on 3 different occasions, and those were really, really challenging, gut-wrenching.
So like a witch hunt when you
That
describe
completely felt like it. Well, one of them was a witch hunt, which I don't even know why. And I'll never really know why, because I don't know that, one, there can be that kind of honesty, and that there's really a why. I don't know. What are some of the other things?
Those are the 3 that really have stuck out for me.
Yeah. It just, I'm human. And so are the other people around you. You guys, if you look at and you really get to know people who are in same-sex relationships, whether they're in a relationship or they're married, you will find absolutely beautiful, beautiful souls who just want to live normal, whatever the hell that is, happy lives. They want to be productive citizens. They want to give. They want to create. They have talents beyond measure. They have hopes and dreams.
Giant hearts.
They have giant hearts. And you know what? Some of them don't, but neither does. That's everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're humans just like you. But there's a fear because there's been an instilled fear.
Well, and I also think another one that I just remembered is like, and that I know that you still move through is that if I share about this, people are going to make the assumption that I'm of the extreme political side, and that I agree with all the
hate that
community beliefs and what they're lobbying for and against, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Like you just said, you just want to live your life and enjoy living your life without having all this stuff put on you, all these assumptions put on you of who you are and what you believe.
Thank you for that. Sometimes I forget that piece. It's like, where do I really belong? And I know lots of you can ask that same question. Where do I really belong? We belong right here. Honestly, we belong right here. We belong with our people, and our people start coming forward when we really know how to be here. I am, yeah, I don't identify as me. I don't, there's so much political about this that is just, I don't, I'm not even going to go there. Um, you said something that made me think of, it's now, oh, and the other thing is sometimes the question is, can I love God and believe in God if I love a woman? The answer is yes. Very much so, yes. Sometimes I call it God, sometimes I call it higher power, sometimes I call it source. Whatever feeling or emotion state that I'm in, sometimes it's still challenging to see that energy and that just immense power as God, because I see it and I still see it in a way that doesn't identify, um, that isn't kind, that isn't loving. Occasionally that piece still wants to come in. And so guess what? There's lots and lots of people who are in same-sex marriages and relationships who love God or source, and they want to be a part of those communities just like you might want to be a part of one of those communities. Um, so yeah, that's another big one, is that I have to choose. I really can't be both. Um, and the reality is my life doesn't work so well when I don't align with a higher power of in a way that works for me. I had another thought, and it's hiding itself. And so maybe that means we've hit what we need to hit. Other thoughts?
I just appreciate your openness to share. I think it was a really timely, beautiful question. Yeah,
it's hard.
It's, but I am noticing that it's still challenging, but you're still showing up, and I think that's just super important, and honoring the journey and what you're learning throughout it, because you just don't know who can benefit from that insight, and know that they're not alone, and it's not just something that they're making up and um, making themselves feel other than, because it's really, it feels like a tactic to make you fall back in line, whatever line people want you to fall into.
And I've been really, really good at that. Like, I've been so good at that my whole life. And it is challenging to let go of old stories and the beliefs, and to really let myself become the butterfly. Um,
I love that.
I've had butterflies on my running gear and stuff for since I really started. I got decals and I ironed them on all my things because I believe in that. I believe in that change. I believe that change can be very challenging and painful at times. And um, I just am in a place where I can't be a caterpillar anymore because it makes you feel more comfortable in your own caterpillar state. And I also can't allow you to stay in your, well, I can and I will. I just,
You
I
can
want to
allow
encourage
yourself.
you to like go inside yourself and become your own butterfly. Do create the changes, go through the changes that need to take place so that you can be the beautiful butterfly you are meant to be, that you already are. You just have to be willing to go through the transformation. Is it scary? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Can it be painful? Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Is it Does it cause me to doubt and be like, oh yeah, I don't know because I don't know what that means and I don't know what it'll look like? Absolutely, 100%.
The doubts are powerful.
Doubts are powerful. Doubts lead us to truth. Doubts lead us to truth.
They weed out all the extra and get right down to the core of it.
Which is you. You are the core of it. Your soul is the core of it. And you're far more than this fleshy meat suit that you get to wear. And everything that you are experiencing here on this planet, myself included, is just an experience. It's not who you are. It's not who you are. It's something you're getting to do and to move through as a way to learn and to grow and to expand and to remember who you are. You're already those things. And we just get to go through different phases. It means nothing about you. So you made a mistake. Who the hell cares? I've hung on to that stuff for way too long. And I'm sure there are places that you have too. And now is the time to just like start having the courage to opening our hands and actually trusting in the higher power that we say we believe and trust in and say, here you go. Here you go. This is the thing, instead of trying to hide it behind our backs all the time. They already know. Say, here it is. I don't know what to do with it. Gonna move forward. So, wow, that felt scary, but I would love to hear from you guys about what those challenges are for you, where you might feel just maybe some quiet depression, or what have you hung on to for so long that's held you back or held you down or kept you scared? And how do we support you? Know that we're here. We love you. We appreciate you. I was just going to say, if you're interested in sponsorship for the race is in April. We're taking sponsorships clear through, but if you want your logo or your information on our clothing, we have to have it by the middle of next week. You can reach out. Or if you're interested in coaching, have a few spaces, and we'd love to participate in your lived experience that way. All right, remember, we love you so much. Remember, be bold.
Be courageous.
Be a rebel. We'll see you soon.
Ta-da!